Hi everybody, this is B007 back for another 10-minute spoiler-free movie review. And today I'm talking to you about one of my favourite films of 2015. It's called Taxi Tehran, and it's by Jafar Panahi. And for those of you who don't know, he is an astoundingly good Iranian filmmaker. But unfortunately, he lives in a country where freedom of expression is not necessarily valued. And he has been interrogated, oppressed, put under house arrest, and banned from making films. And as such, his previous film was actually profoundly sad and depressing. It was effectively just him inside his own flat, talking about the film he wants to make, showing the drawings he has in the script, but not being able to make it. This, however, is a more audacious interpretation of the laws, where he is playing a taxi driver, or is a taxi driver, driving around Tehran, picking up people in his cab. And of course, some of it's staged, some of it isn't. Some of the people recognize that he's Jafar Panahi. He plays very much joyfully with this concept of breaking the fourth wall and letting us know that we're on the joke and he's in on the joke. And of course, for those of us who love Iranian film, he's also playing with Abbas Kiarostami's film 10, which showed an actress driving people around in a taxi in Tehran, and in doing so created this collage of what was contemporary Iranian life. As the film opens, I have to say, it's a high concept film. The whole thing takes place basically in the taxi with lots of cameras filming the action. It is absolutely hilarious. And partly it's hilarious because, unlike in London, you don't just get in a taxi and go where you're going. The driver might pick up other people to share the fare, if they're sharing the journey, and so on and so forth. So as the movie opens, you have this guy who's hilarious, and he's picking this fight with a woman in the back seat who is absolutely verbally abusing him, and they're arguing about whether a criminal is ever justified. If you're stealing because you're starving, should you be let off, or as the guy's arguing, should you just be one or two hangings just keeps everyone in line? So that's just laugh out loud funny. And then we have this hilarious scene where there's obviously been some kind of motorbike accident, and this husband and wife get in, and the husband's deeply wounded, and they have to drop him at hospital. And the wife's just being melodramatically hilarious, and the guy's trying to record his last will and testament. But there's a creeping little subtle social comment in there about the fact that this guy, if he dies, his wife doesn't get the house because the woman doesn't have property rights in Iran. And then all the time, watching this, is this hilarious guy called Omid, who is obviously a massive Panahi fan, and he's a peddler of DVDs in a country where foreign film is banned. So he's the guy who sidles up beside you and can offer you DVDs of the latest season of Breaking Bad, or with whatever you want. And he's trying to justify himself to Jafar Panahi and saying, without me, no Woody Allen in Tehran. While also, by the way, casually using his name to sort of get business. And so they're kind of driving around together, and en route, Panahi meets a film student. He's trying to give him advice. And then in the second half of the film, it really picks up because you meet Panahi's niece, Hannah, who is just absolutely hilarious. She's a sort of, 10-year-old girl. And she's in the, the headscarf and everything. He's picking her up from school and he's late, and she's giving him all kinds of crap about it, which is just so funny. She's really feisty. And she herself has a little camcorder, and she's making a short film. But what's really funny is that she has obviously in school been given this list of instructions from her teacher about how to make a short film. And this is reflecting the oppression of the regime. So she's been told that, the hero can't have an Iranian Persian name. It has to be a Muslim name. And he can't be wearing a tie. He's got to be a man of the people. And the film, you can't be dealing with any of that messy social realism stuff that you do, Uncle. It's got to be a screenable film. So, of course, this interaction between uncle and niece is incredibly sweet. And she is one of the most charismatic characters I've seen on screen this year. But underneath it all is this deeply, deeply distressing theme of how these kids are being taught, on the one hand, to express themselves artistically, but on the other hand, about self-censorship. And it's really interesting that when the niece comes across a poor little boy who's stealing garbage from a garbage bin, and she notices that he's nicked some money from a bride and groom who are themselves being filmed in a wedding video. Lots of meta stuff about filmmaking going on here. And she kind of directs him to give the money back because, of course, if she's caught him on camera and he's stealing, then it's social realism and she can't show it in class. So all the way through this film, it starts off at this high pitch of melodrama that's evidently staged, but as it goes on, you realize it's becoming more and more about the reality of what it is like for Jafar Panahi to be a filmmaker in Tehran, at the same time having this humor woven in. And I think that is the mark of a truly great filmmaker, when you can make a movie that has all the profundity and all the seriousness in the world, but is still incredibly entertaining and memorable, so that even now, many hours after watching it, I can probably recite to you whole scenes. There's also, and I think rightly so, one of the last passengers that Panahi picks up is a friend of his who is, his niece calls her the elegant lady with the roses. She's carrying roses, very beautiful. And it turns out she's a lawyer. She is Panahi's lawyer, and she's currently defending a young woman who has been imprisoned for trying to watch a sports match. As Panahi himself showed in his comedy drama Offside, this girl who's in prison is apparently on hunger strike and is being force-fed. And it's amazing to me that I watched at the BFI London Film Festival Taxi Tehran straight after Suffragette. And Suffragette is a movie about these women who 100 years ago were on hunger strike in London because they wanted the right to vote. And this very day we have this girl on hunger strike in Tehran because she wants to go and watch a sports match. I mean, it's unbelievably tragic and sad and awful. And this wonderful, elegant, charismatic lawyer herself is about to get banned from her profession, just like Panahi was banned, because she is daring to question this. So, overall, Taxi Tehran is a profound movie. It's a provocative movie, and it stays with you long after you've seen it, because it's depicting the reality of Tehran, which is a place where there is social and economic deprivation, where there is crime, where there is mugging, where there is a need to, or a perceived need to self-censor to survive the regime, where there are people being interrogated, where a man like Panahi on a street in Tehran thinks he's hearing the voice of his interrogator and is haunted by it. And yet, I can honestly say that this is a movie that I've laughed out loud with as much as any other film this year. And I've always thought Panahi was a great director. This is a great film, and it's won, I believe, the Golden Bear at Berlin. It absolutely deserves that. This is a film that, it's very short, I think it's only 80 minutes long, but it has absolutely everything. And even if you don't care about Iranian politics, if you love film and you want to explore what it means to make film, then this is the film for you, because I think someone called it a love letter to cinema, and it truly is. And what better person to sell it than the charismatic Panahi himself? So, one of the best films of the year for me. If you've seen it, and please do, and agree or disagree with my take, please feel free to leave a comment on the blog at B007.com. Otherwise, thank you for listening.